Okay, before maybe you can share your experience with us and begin the discussion with the students. I'd like to show you something about nonverbal and nonverbal communication. Actually,
Okay.
this is what we have learned in the classroom. This is what we have learned in the classroom about verbal and nonverbal communication. We have make summarize here about verbal and non-verbal communication in United States according to Levin and Alderman and Alton and Bennett. Okay, maybe you will maybe later you can confirm whether the Canadians or the Koreans are more similar in what way to Americans. Okay. First of all, most Americans see themselves as open, frank, and fairly friendly, and they have nothing to hide to others. And the introduction in US culture, usually all the American tends to use informal language. There are situations that informal introductions are appropriate. For example, when meeting a president of university or meeting someone for the first time, it is more polite, more formal than the daily communication. Okay, and then in the first introduction, the speaker use longer sentence titles. For example, Professor Parnell and so on. Okay, and I would like to introduce you to blah blah blah, and it's a pleasure to meet you. And then direct eye contact and firm handshake during introduction in United States. And then for small talk after introduction, it is uncommon and considered impolite to ask personal questions like how much money do you make, or are you married, or how old are you. That's in the US culture. A little bit different with Asian culture. Okay, is it common here for us here to say how much money do you make, or are you married, and how old are you, especially for Indonesians. And then verbal communication in US people say thank you frequently, and then American also strongly emphasizes directness in verbal interaction. So many expressions exemplify this tendency, such as don't beat around the bus, let's get down to the business and get to the point. It is emphasize the directness. And then for nonverbal communications, there are greetings in some countries, just like Japan. Japan usually bow to each other in nonverbal communication, and then Westerners, just like European and Americans, they do handshake, and then most Latino physical contact like embracing for known person, and then for French, Spain, Italy, Portugal, usually kissing both cheeks, although between men they also kissing both cheeks, and for Indian they collide their hands. That's non-verbal communication. And then for eye contact for US, eye contact is showing interest. This is good to have eye contact with the person we talk to because it shows interest in the person. But in the Middle East, it is less common and considered less appropriate. For many Asians, extended eye contact as an offensive. Yeah, it is considered offensive, and for Western, it is considered polite and to maintain almost constant eye contact with another persons. And for nonverbal communication in the United States, usually gesture like waving hand meaning go away. And then the okay gesture in the American culture symbolizes money in Japan. Okay, it's a little bit similar in Japan. And then winking an eye may express there is something secret. And bowing or take a bow in some culture means showing our respect, but Americans usually just take a bow after performance on a stage. Okay, this is what we have learned from the classroom about verbal and non-verbal communication, and also from our last meeting with our last guest speakers about verbal and non-verbal communication. Okay, maybe you can confirm about the slides that I have shared
Okay.
about Indians and Koreans. Yeah. Okay, you can start, sir.
You confirm what you said. Generally, I would agree with what you said, but constant eye contact, I wouldn't say in America or Canada. We have very similar cultures in many ways, and I would say that in Canada, constant eye contact. Eye contact is considered normal, but constant eye contact could be uncomfortable. It could be uncomfortable to have constant eye contact. You should look away every once in a while. If you always have eye contact, it could mean aggression, as you said. It could mean somebody's trying to show dominance. It could mean some other things as well. But yes, eye contact, but I would not say constant eye contact in America or Canada. That's the only thing I would have to say. Would you like me to talk more about Korea?
Yeah, yes, sir. But
Okay.
how about Korea?
Do you have a specific question? So in terms of Korea, eye contact is not really it's very short. It's very short. It would be very uncomfortable to make long eye contact. It's usually you can make eye contact and look away, eye contact and look away. With friends, it's okay. With friends, it's okay, but with strangers, you wouldn't do so. From a Canadian, when I'm dealing with superiors, I make eye contact, but it's not constant eye contact. Yeah, so it's less. Eye contact is less so in Korea, in South Korea, for sure.
Okay, got it. Okay, how about greetings in the Canadians also?
The greetings is also the handshake, and well, it depends on where you are in Canada, but usually it's the handshake and two or three shakes and a little bit of eye contact. In Korea, definitely not. It's definitely you might have some Koreans that'll do it if you're Western, but if you're Korean and two Korean people, they will not shake hands. They will not, unless maybe it's an international meeting session, like if you go to a business meeting and there's people of many nationalities. But usually, again, Korean on Korean is usually bowing.
No,
Yes, bowing.
just like
For sure.
Japanese and other Asian.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I think we go directly to the discussion with the students. Okay, guys, want to ask questions? Okay, let's start from Putri. Wait, Putri is not responding. Okay, Aulia, Muhammad Aulia.
Hello, sir.
Okay.
Hello, Mohammed. Nice to meet you.
Hello, nice to meet you. Maybe I want to ask to you, in this country, maybe before engaging in a serious topic, we frequently engage in a small topic or jokes like humor. Is this also the case in South Korea or Canada, maybe like the some culture?
Did you say small talk?
Yeah, before
Yes.
engaging in conversation, we usually proceed with small talks in Indonesia.
Do you mean small talk like in a meeting, or small talk when you're just meeting somebody on the street or something like that?
Yeah, meeting somebody in the street, like yeah, small talk, just like some talking something unimportant. I think small talk.
If in Korea you would not normally talk to strangers on the street, it would be considered strange. It would be considered strange. In Canada, I can meet anybody anywhere. I don't know them, and I might make some small talk with them, about the weather or something like that, or if they're tired or something like they look tired or they don't look tired, and might make some small talk as I'm waiting. But in Korea, not usually. No, it's considered strange. It's considered like you're going into their space, right?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm interested about talking about weather. It is not common in Indonesia to talk about weather a lot with people
Yeah,
because if it is not hot, it is rain. Because we
yeah.
have two seasons. Okay, why Western, yeah, Americans or Canadians are so interested in talking about weather? Okay.
It's just to break the ice.
It's just, oh yeah, I just.
That's why we talk about, if you meet a stranger like walking or on an elevator or waiting in line to buy something at a mart, you might want to break the ice with some small talk. Sure is hot, right? But it's just to break the ice. It's not really about the weather.
It's not really talking about the weather, not answering the weather because we already.
Yeah.
Okay, another questions maybe from Ricky, Ahmad Ricky Ramdhani. Ricky, are you here? Okay, Ricky is not.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, okay.
I wanna ask you, what are some common gestures or body language expressions in Korea that are different from Canada?
What are some common questions when dealing with or expressions? Expressions?
We what is it?
Is that what you?
Body
Movement, maybe
language,
body movement,
yes.
body language that's expressing non-verbal communication.
Hmm. It's usually in the face.
Uh-huh.
Um, you will see either stone face or you'll see their eyes go a little big sometimes, like they'll go a little bit when,
Uh-huh.
when they're
What does it
surprised.
mean?
Um, they're not as expressive because they don't want to lose face and they don't want you to lose face. They don't want you to feel uncomfortable and uh, maybe sometimes they don't know how to react with a Westerner, so it might be a stone face a little bit, like they maybe no expression, but I think it's because they Korea is quite. I'm not sure how Indonesia is, but Korea, Japan, and China, uh, you have to. Do you know save face? Save face? Do you guys know that expression?
What is it? Set face? Also.
Saving face, saving
Oh, saving face.
Yeah,
Saving face.
saving face is pretty much common in Eastern Asian culture as well
yeah,
as in Japanese culture.
yeah.
Yeah,
So it's quite similar here. So if there's a situation where someone, either the speaker or the listener, might be losing face, you might see no expression, right? Because they don't want you to feel uncomfortable, and even if they feel uncomfortable, they don't want to show it, right? Um,
yeah.
but sometimes I remember I can't remember the situation. I said something, and their eyes went like this a little bit. I said, "Oh," then I knew that I shouldn't have said that, right? They,
Ah, yeah.
they,
Okay.
they were surprised.
They were surprised. So it means something that something secret. It means that there is something secret that you shouldn't say.
They're not comfortable. It was
Oh,
work related, and I said, "Can I get your phone number?" Right, and then the eyes went like this, and I said, "Okay, okay, yeah, I'll
okay.
call the office number. I'll
Right.
call the office number."
Okay.
Right, because that's personal space, right? That's personal space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, Ricky, is it answer your question, Ricky?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you, Ricky. Okay, now we go to Emma, Umu Salama.
Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, what is your question, Emma?
I want to ask, every country has a different culture. And how did you adapt to this culture differences when you first came to Korea?
You don't really. You just go to a different culture. It's not adjusting. You're just kind of shocked, and you just
Ah,
And then
Yeah.
as time goes by, you learn the culture, right? But there's lots of mistakes made. Yeah, and luckily people know if you're a newcomer, to the culture, the local culture is usually a little forgiving if you make a mistake, right? If you make a mistake, they usually forgive you, and then they might tell you, oh, this is what you do in this situation, this is what you do in that situation. So I guess in terms of adjusting, the local people would gently tell me what I should do in a situation, and as time went by, I adopted the culture.
So how long have you been in Korea?
About 20,
Oh,
24 years. Yeah.
24 years. Okay. Yeah, okay. Emma, do you have another questions, Emma, related to adjusting in Korean culture or adapting in Korean culture? Emma, do you have another question, or is it already answered your questions?
I think enough, maybe better. Maybe.
Maybe later, yeah. Okay, thank you, Emma. Okay, Putri. Okay, Putri, what is your questions? Okay, Putri, unmute, 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 unmute yourself. Okay. Oh, okay. I think Putri have troubles in audio, Putri.
We can't hear you, Putri. I'm sorry.
We cannot hear you, Putri. Okay, okay, maybe you don't have to wear headset. Just wear the audio from your phone. Okay. Ah, we can hear you. We cannot hear you. Okay, so sorry, Putri. Okay, maybe you can write down your questions in the chat box. I'm sorry, Putri. We cannot hear you. Okay, it's okay, it's okay. Maybe next questions to Warda. Warda. Okay, Warda. Datul Halwa. Unmute Warda. Warda. Okay. Okay, yeah. Louder, please.
I want to ask you, do you think Koreans are more formal or more casual in their friendship than Canadians?
I would say
In the friendship or relationship, okay, are they more formal? Korean more formal?
I would say that they're more formal at the beginning, but as time goes by, it gets more casual. But at the beginning, it's more formal. Especially there's a hierarchy. You know, if you're older, the younger shows more respect. So there's different language for a younger person, junior person speaking to a senior person, and at first it's more formal, but as time goes by, when people get to know each other, it becomes more casual. And I've also noticed that the senior, most of the time that I've noticed doesn't lecture. Do you know lecture? You should do this. You should do that. They don't lecture. They're very gentle with their voices. The seniors, when they're talking to a junior, if they're talking to about a problem, they're not tough in their language. Usually, sometimes they are, but usually they're very soft because the seniors. There's hierarchy structure here, but the seniors also have responsibility for the juniors. So it's very interesting. They feel a responsibility. The seniors can tell the juniors what to do, but the seniors also have responsibility to make sure that the juniors are safe. So it's a very interesting relationship. Yeah, so formal at the beginning and then later more casual.
But when we watch the Korean drama, it is that they respect
Yeah,
their
lots of respect. Lots of
by
respect.
they respect their seniors by not addressing directly their names, but by using just like a certain
Titles.
a certain addressing. Yeah, I cannot say that.
Yeah, they'll say titles, or they'll say,
Titles, yeah,
or
titles.
they might say the name mama she like this, which shows respect.
Yeah.
That's also in public, right? But if they're in private, and if they have relationship over time, it becomes more casual. But it's still respectful. It's still respectful. Yeah.
And also in addressing their lecturers or the teacher, maybe they call you something like Sangsunim or something.
Yeah, they'll call you
Other professor
teacher.
name.
They'll call you teacher. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wanda, is it answer the questions or do you have another questions? Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Next questions, please, from sorry, Nafis, maybe Nafis or Adi. Do you want to say something, Adi? Suruh Nafis. Suruh Nafis is yeah, okay. Suruh Nafis, Suruh Nafis.
Adi, I think you.
Unmute yourself.
Okay, sir. I have questions for you. Yeah. When you arrive in Asia or South Korea back then, was it disturbing for you the culture of saving face or indirectness of Asian people is?
It was at the beginning. It was because I felt I didn't know their thinking,
Oh,
right? And I was also uncomfortable because if I told my thinking directly, I could tell that they were uncomfortable, right?
yeah,
Yeah, if I said it directly, as time went by, I would change the way that I would say something. I might not say it directly. Like you're in your culture, like even if it's indirect, you know the message.
yeah.
You know the
Well,
message.
yeah. Well, I'm coming from Eastern Japanese culture, which far more direct than compared than the Middle Japanese, which have similar culture with Eastern Asian culture regarding indirectness and saving face. So I think that was troublesome for me to talk like yeah, like you did back then to my Middle Japanese friends.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was difficult at the beginning because I could see that I was making mistakes and I didn't know why.
Yeah.
Yeah. But later I learned. Yeah.
Okay, I think it's very clear for me, sir. Yeah, thank you
Okay.
so much.
Thank you, Adi.
Thank you, Adi. Okay. Now we go to Iza Putri or Lely. Okay, which one of you are ready to ask a questions?
Ma'am,
Laili?
can you repeat me?
Oh, Isa. Oh, Laili. Yeah, okay. Okay, Laili, what is your question?
Yeah. I want to ask question. Bowing is a basic aspect of Korean nonverbal communication. So, can you explain the meanings and the specific social context in which they're used?
I can in which
About
what is
bowing.
you
Bowing.
bowing?
Bowing.
Bowing is not as
Bowing.
formal as in Korea as it is in Japan. Um, you would bow. You might bow deeper in a more formal situation, like in a very formal situation where like you were meeting, if you're a beginner worker and you might be meeting a president of a company, you might bow more deeply. Or if you are a young person and you're meeting a grandfather, you might or grandmother, you might bow more deeply. Um, Generally, it's I would say maybe a 30-degree bow, 30-degree bow, right? Maybe if you're in trouble, and you would bow very deeply. You would bow very deeply if you're in trouble to show that you're sorry and that you made a mistake. But in general, I have seen the regular bowing is maybe a 10 to 30-degree bow, and it's for greetings. But the deeper bows might be for formal situations, maybe ceremonies. Maybe ceremonies, there might be a deeper bow. Does that answer your question?
Okay.
So I can repeat, maybe ceremonies, maybe a young person meeting an older person, maybe a young worker meeting an older worker, they might bow deeper. But in general, or a person who's in trouble, who's trying to say sorry, they might bow deeper. But in general, the bows are kind of equal, maybe 10 to 30 degrees.
Okay.
That's my experience. That's my experience. I could be wrong. Okay.
So, because we often watch, yeah, maybe lately also watch in the Korean drama that they love to bow to each other.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Laili. Okay, do you have another question, maybe, Laili? No. Okay. Next questions, please.
No, ma'am, enough. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you, Laili.
Welcome.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next question is from Abdullah Wahid Aminin. Aan. Is Aan here? Yeah, okay, Aan, what is the question?
Hello, sir.
Hello, Abdullah.
Okay, my name is Abdullah, and I want to ask you a question about the Korean wave.
Okay.
Oh, Korean wave.
First of all, I love drama and I love music, and Korean wave has been on the top of the world. You know,
Yeah.
is it making an impact in Korean itself, the
Oh, yes.
Korean wave?
Korean.
Because of in Indonesian Indonesian teenager, they hardly love until like I love them until we die.
Yeah.
Is that also in Korean itself for teenager or student?
Definitely for teenage students. Yes.
Okay.
Including some students. Some
Is that for Korean or just nothing?
For Korean students. Oh, for regular Koreans. Especially the younger people. University students, they might like some Korean wave things, but when you're in university, they're starting to focus more on their future, right? So they're starting to widen their focus. When you're a Korean student, it's your studies and maybe and pop culture, right? Those are the two things that they focus with. There's pop music or
Korean pop.
yeah, or other popular culture things that they focus on that. But when they get older in their 20s, they start to widen their minds because they have to think about their future. But it's still an impact. It still plays a big impact. Yeah. I hope I answered your question, Abdullah.
Okay, thank you. That's enough.
Okay.
Oh, maybe one question again. I want to ask about the Canada.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true that Canada having the worst weather in the world? I mean,
I don't know if it's the worst. I don't know if it's the worst weather, but this winter is a pretty tough winter in Eastern Canada. Yeah, it's a pretty tough winter. Yeah.
Okay. Is it answered the questions, Aan? Okay. Now the questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's my my question. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, next questions. Ines Sabrina, are you here? Ines?
Yes.
Okay, Ines, what is your question, Ines?
As a candidate who is non-friendly and open, how did you adjust to the Korean culture that is more cautious about interacting with strangers?
Can you repeat your whole question, please?
As a Canadian people who is being friendly and open, how did you adjust to the Korean culture that is more cautious about interacting with strangers?
It is more conscious about interacting with strangers.
I think interacting with strangers all over the world is people are generally courteous. Um, um, it's nice though. It's nice. They're more formal, I guess, when you first interact, and it's nice. It's nice that they're not so casual so quickly. So to me, it's nice because in English we have an expression. What's the expression? Familiarity breeds contempt, and it's nice. I like it. There was no adjustment, except that I try to be more courteous when I deal with people now.
Okay, when in Indonesia, I have an example. Indonesia, we Indonesians, we are excited when meeting foreign people, like European Americans and maybe the other. Okay, we are excited and we try to approach them just to say hi, hello, or say ask
Okay.
their name. Are the Koreans also like the people in Indonesia here?
It's 20 years ago. Yes, yes. It's like, hi, hello, and you would get tired. I would get tired. It's just because it was like you'd walk hi, and you would say hi, but then they just laugh and you keep going, right? And
Yeah, just say hi. Just say hi.
I mean, if you're gonna say hi, stop and talk, right? But they'd go hi, and then they'd run away. But these days it doesn't happen so often. If they do say hi, though, they do stop and they do have a conversation, which is nice. It's nice. Yeah. I'm sorry if I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Ines, for the questions. Now we go to Dwi Rahmawati. Are you here, Dwi?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, what is your question, Dwi?
Okay, I want to ask, are there any significant difference in Korean learn or work that may be different from Canadian?
Learning, you mean? Learning? Okay, so yes, in both learning and working, it's different. For learning, both learning and working,
Yes, Mr.
they're used to having direction. They're used to the teacher telling them what to do, when to do it, how to do it. They're used to that, which is whereas in Canada, somebody might just tell you do it, and then you have to figure it out yourself. So usually the teacher or the boss will provide direct orders, but will also provide more guidance than in Canada. In Canada, sometimes you would be told to do it, and if you didn't ask for guidance, they would expect you to figure it out. Does that answer your question, Dewey? Yeah. So let me answer it again one more time. So in learning and both at learning and at work, the teacher or the boss will tell them what to do, and in Korea, they'll wait to be, they want to be told what to do. And the teacher and the boss might give them specific ways to do it. But in Canada, the teacher or the boss sometimes does not give them specific ways to do it. And they just expect the student or the worker to just do it, and the worker just has to be a little bit more creative sometimes. Does that answer your question?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dewey, thank you.
Now we go to Risma.
Yes. Okay. I ask you something about level of communication.
Mhm.
Why is it important to understand the level of communication in Korea culture, especially in work or academic setting? Does this affect the level of politeness in interaction, in your experience?
In my experience, my Korean is not good. I am trying to get better these days. I'm studying Korean. In my experience, even though my experience is my Korean is not good, I have always been treated with respect and kindness and courtesy. Maybe maybe there's some frustration, sometimes a little frustration. That's why I'm studying Korean. But these days we can use Google Translate, right? We can use Google Translate. It doesn't work. Okay, Google Translate.
Yes.
So that's helpful. But I have noticed that they are always, in my experience, they have always been respectful and kind. Yeah.
Okay, enough.
But
Thank you.
I would recommend, Arisma, that if you are going to come to Korea, learn Korean, because it will help you so much. It will help you so much.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you. Happy we can't hear you.
I'm sorry. Okay. Talking about you use Google Translate in translating the the Korean language. How about 20 years ago when you first came to Korea? Okay, I think Google Translate hasn't been
No, when I first came to Korea, they were still courteous, they were still kind, but there might have been some frustration, and they were a little scared because they didn't know English and I didn't know Korean.
Yeah.
So there was some fear. Like, I was okay. I was not afraid to make mistakes, but they were afraid to make mistakes, and they shouldn't be, but they were. But they were still very kind and very courteous. Yeah.
Did you use something like dictionary book or to help you in translating Korean language? Is there any?
No.
No. Okay. Korean. Okay. Next question is Iza Putri. Iza, are you here, Iza? Iza Putri. Okay, Iza is not responding. Dila. Dila Permatasari or Arina Alhamfaridila.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Which one Dila? Oh, Dila Permata. Okay.
I wanna ask, were there any cultural shock that made it difficult for you to adapt while living in South Korea? If so, how did you overcome them?
Maybe the indirect communication and the food. Those were the two things, and how to overcome. You just you have to be patient and learn. So the indirect communication, that was confusing at the beginning. But luckily I had some friends, some local Korean friends, and they would teach me what to do and what not to do. So making some good local friends who can help you navigate the culture is very important. So if you come to Korea, Dila, I recommend you make some good Korean friends, and they will teach you what to do and what not to do. Does that answer your question?
Dila, is it answer your questions? Yeah. Or maybe can you give some examples about what should do and what shouldn't do in Korea?
Okay, so when I first came to Korea, you would be asked to go out to dinner, right? And if you are, I was still young then, but if you were drinking with an older person, they drink some alcohol, you would have to have two hands and pour with two hands, and then when you drank, when you drank, you had to turn away and drink like this. You couldn't be direct to them. So if you didn't do that, they might forgive you if you are foreigner, but they might also be hurt or angry in their hearts because they might see disrespect, but even though it's not disrespect. So if you have a friend says, when you're with an older person, an older person offers you something to drink, please turn away and drink like this. So that was one thing. Yeah. So if you have local friends to help you navigate the culture, that's very helpful.
Understand the culture, okay. Dila, is it answer the questions or do you still have another questions?
Enough, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Dila. Okay, next question from Faradila. Now, Faradila. Arinal Haq Faradila.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Faradila.
I question, are there any word or expression in Korean that don't have a direct translation in English but are essential in daily communication?
Okay, give me a second here because I researched this, so I have to find it. Yes. One moment.
Okay.
Let me find it. Oh yes. So first is jung, and jung means emotional connection, but we don't really have that expression with jung. It's like there's a connection there, a strong connection. They call it jung, and another one is nunchi, which means like social awareness, like you know what's happening. So I might look at somebody here and I might see their eyes and I know that they're angry or they're happy, right? The social aware about maybe teacher Wardani is talking about something and then I see maybe Rizma's expression and then I can tell that Rizma is either happy or not happy about what teacher said, and they call that nunchi. Nun I think means eyes, so it means you can see the situation. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Faradila, Arinal Haq Faradila, is it answer your questions or do you still have another questions?
I think enough, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Arinal. Okay, now we go to Maya. Mas Mahatul Hidayah, Maya.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Maya, what is your questions, Maya?
Okay. Okay, sir, my question is there a difference when Canada and Korea students express opinions?
In expressing opinion?
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
yes, there is. In my experience at the beginning, as time goes by, it can be similar, but at the beginning is the Koreans will not express an opinion, and the Canadians will express an opinion. The Koreans might not express an opinion because they don't want to offend anybody. They don't want anybody to be hurt, so they might say nothing, right? Or they might say maybe, and maybe means yes or no, right? But in Canada, if somebody says, "What's your opinion?" they will directly say the opinion. So usually in Korea, they might not want to express their opinion, so they might say nothing. They might say, "I haven't thought about it," or they might say maybe. So for example, what do you think about living together before marriage, right? So a Canadian might answer directly, yes, it's good. Yeah, no, it's not good, right? But a Korean might say nothing. They might say, maybe it's okay, maybe it's not okay, or they might say, oh, I didn't think about it, because they don't want to express an opinion.
I think it's the typical of Asian people, not only in Korea but also in Indonesia. We don't say directly yes or no, but maybe, perhaps, okay, okay, I think about it, okay. So,
yeah. So I would say, when they say maybe, I say maybe yes or maybe no. and then if they want to talk more, they'll say maybe yes, maybe no. But if they don't want to talk more, they'll say maybe.
Oh.
So I understand them.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, whose answer is that? I forget. Is it Maya? Yeah. Okay, Maya. Maya, is it answer the question or do you still have another questions, Maya?
I think enough, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Maya. Okay, next questions. Next questions, please. Okay, Farah or Vina? Okay, Farah.
I wanna ask you something, sir. Can you provide an example of how difference in the use of personal speech in Canada and Korea can lead to discomfort or misunderstanding in intercultural interaction? Is there any difference? Maybe the distance when talking and crying or touching while talking, like patting the shoulder.
Yes, definitely there's a difference. In Canada, I think we want more space. In Korea, there's less space. It's a smaller place, Korea. It's a smaller place, so there's going to be less space. If you go to a typical Korean city, I don't know what the Indonesian city is like because I've not been there, but there's many people in a small area. On a personal level, though, there is a distance. There is a distance when you're speaking with a Korean. There is a distance, and this on a personal level. And you definitely don't, I won't say you don't reach into their space, but if you were to touch them, that might feel uncomfortable. Like in Canada, I remember just, touching my friends easily, right? But in Korea, it's not, I don't think it's as comfortable for them as it is for us. So it can be uncomfortable, even though in Korea people are closer. I think there's less touching. There's less touching. And if there is touching, then people might be very uncomfortable about that. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Farah, is it answer your questions? Or do you still have another questions?
Enough, Mom. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Farah. Okay, Iza is already here. Iza Putri. Okay, Iza is not responding. Safina.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, Safina. Okay.
My question is, have you noticed differences in how emotions are expressed non-verbally in Korea versus Canada, such as facial expression or posture?
I think emotion is expressed the same way universally. Doesn't matter what country you are in. I think it's expressed universally. I think the Koreans try to hide their emotions a little bit, right? But when the emotions is expressed, it's expressed the same way throughout the world. Whether it's anger, whether it's sadness, whether it's joy, it's expressed the same way throughout the world. Same body language. We're all human. So, but at the beginning they try to not express. Later, but I think if they hold it in, later it can become really big. Later, because if you hold it in, it's like kind of like a volcano. But in terms of how they express, it's the same. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, Tina, is it enough?
I think enough, Mom. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
Okay, I think Putri will have you fix your audio problem, Putri.
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, thank God. Finally. Okay, what is your question, Putri?
Okay, I want to ask you something. Have you ever gotten unique or funny experiences due to the differences in nonverbal communication between Canada and Korea? Have you ever got it?
Nonverbal?
Yes.
I don't think nonverbal though. Verbal, yes, but not nonverbal.
What about verbal communication?
Yeah, but like I remember in Korea, like like in Canada, you say hello, how are you, right?
Yeah.
In Korea, they say, did you have lunch? Right? So a long time ago, somebody said, did you have lunch? And I thought, oh, they're asking me to lunch. But they weren't asking me to lunch. They were just being polite. And I was hungry. I was really disappointed, and I really wanted to have lunch with somebody. And I was at that time I was new, right? Oh, maybe new friend, right? But no. Have you had lunch? I said no. Oh, okay, goodbye. It's where are you going? So yeah. So that was a verbal one, and another. There is one nonverbal one in Korea because there's so less space. When you go to the bank ATM, do you know the ATM, the bank machine? You go to get money from the ATM. Usually people stand maybe not far. In Canada, they stand very far, right? And I remember when after being in Korea, I went to Canada to the ATM, and I was standing right behind the person, and the person was like, what are you doing? So, oh, okay, I'm sorry. So I had to go back, right? They thought I was trying to get their PIN number or something, but I wasn't. It was just I got used to in Korea, there's not much space, so people stand closer. Yeah. So there is a nonverbal one.
Okay, yes, similar also in Indonesia, standing in line but too close to each other,
Very
because
close.
if there is a little space, anyone can what is it? Can stand in front of you. Yeah, so we have to stay close so that anyone cannot come to you. Okay, and also about talking about did you have lunch? Yeah, in Indonesia also it is a
Really?
ya, kamu sudah makan belum ya, just like that. Okay, have you had your breakfast? Have you had every breakfast, dinner or lunch? Okay, talking just to break the ice, I think.
Yeah.
The small talk, but basa-basi we talk about that. Okay. Okay, Putri.
Okay, enough, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Putri.
Okay.
It's unmute, ma'am. It's unmute.
Oh, it's unmute.
Yeah. Sorry. Iza, I think I'm I'm talking about Iza. Iza, if you are here and want to ask a questions, so you can write it in the chat box. Okay, it's for Iza. Okay, next Soraya. Soraya, I think we want to ask a question. Soraya, are you here, Soraya? Soraya, is Soraya here? Soraya is not. Zahra, maybe Soraya is not responding. Zahra, how about Zahra? Zahra is also not responding. Okay, another question from the other students who haven't had a chance to ask a questions already. Is already have a chance. Oh, Zahra.
Okay, I'm Zahra.
Zahra. Okay, Zahra. What is your question, Zahra?
Okay, I want to talk about do students in Korea use formal or informal language more often when talking to teachers?
Do they use informal language when talking to teachers?
Yes, about the communication between teacher and students.
Yes, communication every day.
In Korean, they use formal language. In English, there's less. But they still say teacher. They still use titles. But yes, they use more formal language when they talk to teachers. Yes. I hope that answers your question. It's a very short answer.
Yes, formal language in Korea. Okay. And how about Hikmah? Hikmah, are you here, Hikmah? Hikmah. Hikmah is not responding. Is also not. Okay. Okay, another questions maybe. Last questions.
Ma'am, I have a question.
Okay, who is it? Whose voice is it?
I have question.
Okay. Emma. Salama.
Okay, Korean language has level politeness in verbal communication. Right, is depending on age and status. And have you ever accidentally used the wrong level on politeness?
Yes. Many times. But not because yes. And when I've spoken to my father-in-law, like I'm married, I've spoken to my father-in-law, I used the wrong level, and my wife told me, "You used the wrong level." So I had to I had to change the level. You know, yes, I've used not just with my father-in-law and my mother-in-law. I've used it with other people too, and it's just I have to study Korean more and be more careful. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, another questions maybe. Another question. One more questions. One more question. One last question before.
Ma'am,
Sorry.
I have my question.
Oh yeah, Nafis. Okay.
How do Canadian and Korean differ in showing politeness disabled? Are there any surprising examples?
Differ in what? Sudah Nafis.
How do Canadians and Koreans differ in showing politeness disabled? Are there any surprising examples?
Politeness, in showing politeness.
I don't think so. I think politeness and impoliteness is also universal across. I'm trying to think of a situation. And I can't think of a situation where Koreans and Canadians, the only situation I can think of is the language, but it's only the language, and I find it's more formal. Even well, this is something funny I experienced my first or second year. But this was between two students, and to me, it was very surprising. And it wasn't about politeness or impoliteness, but one student said to the other student, "Die." And they were just joking, right? But in Korea, in Canada, you would never say that to somebody, right? You wouldn't say, "Die," right? Or "Do you want to die," right? But in Korean, it was funny. It's funny, right? A boy said something, da, 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 and then the girl says, "Do you want to die?" or "Die," right? And I was shocked because I didn't know the culture. But to answer your question, no, I haven't. Between Canadian and Korean politeness, only the language and the status, but I've never seen anything surprising. Never seen anything surprising. I think it's universal.
Juru Nafis, is it answer the questions?
I think enough, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. Okay, another questions? Or is it enough? And I have to end the meeting if you don't have any more questions because it's already 60 minutes. It's already 1 hour. Yeah. Okay. Exciting discussions.
Okay.
But if the students don't have any more questions, I have to end the meeting. Okay. No more questions. Aulia, maybe? No. Everyone, no more questions. Okay, if you don't have no more questions, I will post this sessions. Yeah, but before that, we would like to thank you for Professor Parnell for your time to be here to spend for 1 hour, your valuable 1 hour with us. Okay, thank you for sharing with us. Thank you for your sharing experience. Okay, but before you leave, I'd like to take picture with the students here. Okay, everyone, please turn on your camera so we can take picture with Professor Parnell. Okay. So, by the way, if I may ask you, Professor, did you come to Korea because you get married with Korean women?
No. I came to teach, and I met my wife.
You met your wife in Korea because you have to teach in Korea. Okay.
Yeah, no, I just met her while I was teaching. Yeah.
Okay. Let's take a picture. Okay. Everyone, please turn on your camera. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Your best smile. Okay, Professor Parnell, I think that's all for today. Thank you. I hope we have another chance to talk again like this. Yeah, I have another chance with another students.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, everyone, please say goodbye and say thank you to Professor Parnell.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
so much.
Kamsahamnida.
Kamsahamnida.
Kamsahamnida, Sangsanim.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Yeah, have a good day, Professor.
You take care.
Take care.
Take care.
You may leave, Professor.
Thank you. Happy Wardani.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Sarane sopo.
Masuk.